All right, welcome back to Blow Up the Team. I'm Matt, and once again we're doing some MLB preseason grades. And today we get to talk about the once exciting Colorado Rockies. 2018, this team made it to actually threaten the Dodgers in their division for a little while, and they made it to the wild card round, and but they got kind of destroyed in the NLDS. And going into the off season, there's a lot of optimism because the team was performed so well. The lineup was really the star of the show, and it looked like they just needed to get some pitching, and they'd be a really good threat. Well, what pitching they did have kind of fell off, and other previous additions to their bullpen didn't really pay off, and they didn't really make any big moves for starters in the offseason. And honestly, like I can understand being hesitant because you had a pretty solid three-man performance from German Marquez, John Gray, and Kyle Freeland in 2018. Kyle Freeland was fourth in Cy Young voting in 2018. We didn't really do anything. It's a 2019. Um, like and that's not necessarily like they had a bad offseason, but it wasn't like this team's gonna suddenly suck now. Well, they suddenly started sucking. Kyle Freeland went from fourth in Cy Young voting to in the minors and struggling in the minors. He had a couple of glimpses at the end of last season, but just he's not himself. And he had a horrible season. German Marquez wasn't doing that good for a while. The lineup wasn't hitting the same. Charlie Blackmon wasn't hitting his usual 300. Like nothing was looking really right. Now, Charlie Blackmon, of course, ended up tearing it up because it's Charlie Blackmon and the man hits like crazy. And he actually had some record for like most amount of hits in some period of time, I think. Now I'm thinking about it. But anyway, so let's just get right into it. This isn't going to be a pretty story. This team is in a bad spot, and there's a lot of problems. So leading off, you have David Dahl, one of your outfielders. Good bat, nothing super crazy, but a solid player. Not a bad guy to have at the top of your lineup. He's going into his fourth season. He's young, and he's got a decent amount of talent. Last year was his first time getting really a lot of play. Like, he got 100 games last year, which is like the most he's had so far in the majors. And he hit pretty well. He had 302. But his big problem again is walks. He walks about once every four times he strikes out, which is a big problem, especially for a leadoff guy. So you got to hope he shows some improvement there because that'll make your leadoff spot significantly better than it is. Um, Second up, you have Trevor Story. This guy is great fielding and amazing bat. He hits really well for a lot of power. Like 30 home runs will be no problem for him. He had a 500-foot home run, I think, back in 2018, or maybe it was even last year. But he hits a lot of home runs. He plays pretty good field, pretty good shortstop, and it's his fifth year in the bigs. So he's got another four. He's fifth year in the bigs. He's got 3.5 years of playing time from it. So he's got about 3 seasons, I think, on his rookie contract. So you got some time to see what he develops into further, and maybe make it your star, another star for Arenado, who we'll talk about in a little bit. Charlie Blackmon, excellent hitter, really threatening, and always threatening to take you deep. Um, his plate discipline, he's about like he's for walking and striking out, he's about league average, but he will hit over 300, and he'll have a lot of power doing it. The big boo-boo for Charlie Blackmon is his defense. Now, when you look at outfielders, especially in Coors Field with such a gigantic outfield, every defender is going to look bad, but like he's a below average defender in the hardest outfield to play in the majors. If he's on a different team, maybe his defense wouldn't look as horrible as it does, but definitely uh, a liability out there. But his bat brings up so much that you're not going to be upset to see him on your team. Um, Number four, you got Nolan Arenado, who's undoubtedly the star of this team. Consistently, he's one of the best players in the MLB. He's got the bat, he's got the arm, he's got all the fielding capabilities, and they're like honestly, what else can be said about him? He's a 5-time All-Star, 7-time Gold Glove winner. That's every season he's been in the league. 3-time Platinum Glove, 4-time Silver Slugger, 3-time Wilson Defensive Player of the Year, 3-time home run leader, 2-time RBI leader. He's hit for a cycle. Like that's a lot of accomplishments by the time you're 29. Now, last season you signed him 2019. Yeah, so in the 2019 offseason, you signed him into an 8-year, $260 million contract extension, which just seemed natural. You guys had just made the postseason, and things are looking up, and he's your best player, and he's easily the face of the franchise. And then 2019 happened, and everything has hit a wall. And now, no one will stop talking about trade rumors. And both team and Arenado have a mutual option in a couple years, and it seems like both of them are willing to take it already, and they're looking for trades for him. So it's suddenly, because like 2019 was that disastrously bad for you, that like your best player wants to leave, and that's a gonna like that's it sucks. It's at a shitty position. Um, but while he is on this team, I'm not gonna make. Obviously, a lineup like this can carry a pitching staff, but we'll talk about the pitching in a second. Um, so next up, you got Daniel Murphy. Was probably your biggest offseason move, was picking him up in the 2018 offseason. Didn't have that stellar of a debut for uh, the Rockies, only hitting 13 home runs, batting 279. Not crazy. Didn't really show what he usually does. And so, but it could just be an off year, and it still wasn't horrible. So another a decent guy to have at first base. Not you're not going to complain having him. Ryan McMahon's your second baseman. Decent power, of course. It's really easy to have power, and I'm not going to make the oh, it's only because of cores, but he's got decent power, but struggles to put consistent contact and strikes out a lot, 3 times to every walk. You got Sam Hilliard up next, another case of, and he's going to be splitting outfield duties because you got a couple outfielders on the bench. You got Ryan Tapia and even Ian Desmond, who both have had some more time. So you got a few people as your third outfield option who are going to be splitting up time from each other, and so nothing crazy bat wise, and his walks to strikeouts is about as good as you could expect in this league. Actually, it's even worse than Sam Hilliard. It's Ryan McMahon. It's 1 to every 4. And then Tony Walters is your catcher behind the plate. Uh, Once again, one of the better catchers in the league, just because of the fact he can hit over 200. He hit 262 last season. Doesn't have any power. He only hit 1 home run, but he's solid behind the dish, and he'll be a decent catcher. I take it back by one of the better catchers, but he's still a league average catcher, and so nothing crazy, but definitely a good player, and not gonna be a detriment to this team. I realize how good that sounds. He's not gonna be a detriment, but so yeah, the lineup is definitely the biggest part of this team because you have a really threatening few guys in Story, Blackman, Arenado, and Murphy, and even Dahl. But pitching is where this team just falls off the rails. John Gray is projected to be your opening day starter. It's going to be between him and Herman Marquez. He had a really good season last year. Well, really good for Colorado. 150 innings pitched, 26 games started, 384, 150 strikeouts, 56 walks. So he's got good strikeout stuff. Yeah, decent control. His whip is a big problem, but it's going to be a big problem up and down this. Herman Marquez is also up there for one of your better pitchers. Last year he struggled quite a bit with a 4.76 ERA, but now this is where I will say Colorado is a detriment. It's a detriment to the Coors Field is a problem for pitchers, and so obviously they have bloated stats. And I think Herman Marquez has good enough stuff. Like he struck out 175 batters, only walked 35. So if he can figure out how to pitch a little, more carefully in Colorado, maybe he can become, he just do something like he did in 2018, where he had like a 3.8 ERA. He wants to get the ERA go much further down than where it is. Next up, you have Kyle Freeland, who is the guy I was talking about earlier. Fourth in Cy Young voting, went 17-7 with a 2.85 ERA, 173 strikeouts, 70 walks, which is kind of high, but overall, just like dominated in a team that has never really had that starting pitcher that could do so much. And then he had in 2019 a 3-11 record with a 6.73 ERA, a WHIP of 1.5. A walk, two strikeouts to every walk. Like, it was not looking good, and he ended up in the minors for a prolonged period of time. Um, now, if he could put it together again, even remotely like he did, he'll be a threat. But honestly, he didn't show much improvement at the end of last year when he was called up again. And so this is where the team really struggles, because then who do you have behind him? Because if the guy who throws a 6 ERA is your number 3, what does your number 4 and 5 look like? So when you have a guy like that as your number 3, what's your number 4 and 5 look like? And Colorado doesn't even know what its number 4 and 5 look like. Its number 4 is probably going to be Antonio Senzatella, but you know, Senzatella, nothing. He's not that good. He had a terrible season last year, and he hasn't had a good season before then either. And so, and you got Jeff Hoffman, who I've never even heard of. I'm not gonna lie. Before I did my research for this video, like, he's been a bullpen guy or a come up from the minors and get a spot start guy for the past 4 seasons. It's not. And then you have Chichi Gonzalez, who as like a potential fifth option. Like, it's just, you start to see where Colorado's just taking a giant brush of glue and try to just painting over their lineup. Like, they're just like hoping it sticks together. It's just not, like, after your first two pretty decent pitchers, you have hot trash. And so moving on to the bullpen, you'd think, man, maybe there has to be something. Well, yes and no. You have Wade Davis, who used to be extremely dominant. Like, he had a 4-year stretch where, 1.94, 1.87, 2.3, like, great seasons. And he hasn't really been able to, put it together in 2018. And then 2019 was significantly worse. In 42 innings, had an 8.65 ERA and lost his closer job. He actually a very good reliever in Scott Oberg. Scott Oberg is not a guy who gets, who people talk about a lot. My roommate used to talk about him a lot because he's from Tewksbury, Massachusetts, where he was from. But this guy, past 2 seasons, 2.45 ERA, 2.25 ERA, striking out a decent amount of guys, getting a couple saves at the end of the last season. He's been a very good pitcher out of the bullpen for the Rockies, and so he's probably going to be I'm going to say he's going to be your closer over Wade Davis this year, because Wade Davis has kind of been on the way out the last 2 seasons. Obviously, Wade Davis has shown in the past how good he is. Maybe he can put it together again. But then you just kind of look at the rest of okay, what does the rest of your bullpen look like? And it's not good. There is not a single good to average piece in this bullpen. And so, the lineup has a ridiculous amount of stress put on it because your pitching staff is awful. It's just, it's not good. And this season, Colorado did nothing, and it looks like Colorado is just, and then your minors don't have that many guys ready to come up, are top prospects, and so definitely going to be a rough season for the Rockies, and it's going to be a hard time for you, because talent can only pull so much weight when there's no pitching. So I want to move on to the first guy to talk about. Nolan Arenado, obviously your best player, no questions asked. Superstar, definitely got to enjoy him while you got him. Do I think he'll necessarily be traded? No, because teams are gonna have to pay a massive price for him. And do I think he's necessarily done with Colorado? Not necessarily, but I can't blame him for wanting to leave if he does, because he signed that thinking, oh, we're good, we have a playoff run in our bones, and we can do something next season. And then the season he signs it, everything falls apart. So if we go next, Trevor Story, your rising star. People are starting to realize how good he is. Him and Arenado are a lot of fun to watch on that side of the infield, and definitely just every time this guy's a highlight reel type player, will wow you with defense and the bat and everything. So he's going to be another cornerstone to this team. Him and Arenado are going to be putting a lot of weight, but you could definitely see a changing of the guard if Arenado ends up leaving towards Story being the center of attention, and definitely not like a downgrade. Like they're both excellent players. So he's another guy to watch out for to see how he does. Going next, Kyle Freeland, your project. He was your ace. And for a season, the Rockies had a true ace. And now the question is, will the Rockies ever have that ace back again? Because the rest of the bullpen, the rest of their pitching staff is not aces. This guy was your ace. You want to see him turn it around. So expect this season to be really telling, depending on how Kyle Freeland's outlook on the next couple years is. Because if he can't turn it around, if he just does anything like that, he'll be in the minors again, or he'll be bouncing from team to team. Because what he did in 2018 just set the bar so high. So hopefully, if you could, I'm not necessarily saying I put up 2018 numbers, but if you could see him just do something like a in between the 3 and a 4, just not doing what he did last season, everything is an improvement. So hopefully, just look for improvement. Don't look for leaps and bounds and Cy Young performances. Just look for consistency. And then for our last guy, Scott Oberg. He's your closer. He's going to be your closer this season. If you end up blowing up the way I think that Colorado is looking to blow up, he will probably be one of the first pieces gone because he is a excellent pitcher and an excellent bullpen arm. And if teams, if they see an excellent bullpen arm out of Colorado, imagine what they can do. He can do on teams that aren't in yards like Coors. So definitely keep an eye out for how his performance goes because his performance is going to end up netting you quite a few prospects. But anyway, to the grades.
Is this a third team that we're saying has got to blow up the team?
Yeah, honestly, they got a lot of talent, but they didn't make enough moves on the pitching. It's if they do it, they need to do it this season. They didn't. So lineup, I'll give it a B plus because they have a really threatening lineup. That lineup is really really good. Like that lineup is it's going to be rock solid. The
Haha, because
bottom
of the
end.
Rockies, I get it. Haha.
Oh
Hilarious.
yes, that was 100% intentional. Um, However, Daniel Murphy didn't really perform last year, and so we have to wait and see what he does. See if he can get his clutch hitting back. And then your bottom three guys are kind of all mediocre hitting at best. And David Dahl, while good for a leadoff hitter, definitely needs to walk more, and that's. But Trevor Story, Charlie Blackmon, Nolan Arenado are easily some of the most threatening names in the league. Um, so for that, I give it the B plus. Projected starters. I I can't give it a B. It's definitely not a B. Like it's not even a B minus. I'm just debating between a C minus and a C. I'll give it a C because John Gray and Herman Marquez are pretty solid pitchers, and yeah, those are your two best guys in your rotation. The rest of the rotation is never going to be able to hold its weight, barring Kyle Freeland comeback. And I'm not going to grade Kyle Freeland on 2018 Kyle Freeland because how can I? That wouldn't be fair to the rating, and it wouldn't be fair to Rockies fans who watch this video and think, yeah, we got a good rotation because you don't. And the bullpen, it's an even
We've even
worse
got
story.
our lone live spectator joining in and saying, "quote Fuck the bullpen." That's about where this bullpen stands out, I think.
I mean, he's not wrong. Um, Honestly, I think even giving a bullpen I mean, they have one really good guy and Scott Oberg, but the rest of it's either former. Their next best one is a former star who had an 8 ERA last year. So I got to give it D plus. It sucks. It's not going to be pretty. Outside of Scott Oberg, enjoy him while you got him. He's probably a trade target. So overall, what does that even average out to?
A
I don't
C.
even know. I think it's like a C plus. And it's all because of
Uh,
the lineup. The lineup is going to have to do too much carrying to really be a competitive team, and that could affect your lineup negatively. Because if your lineup goes into every game like, okay, we need to hit like we're down 20 runs, like, okay, and nothing's
I
going to
think it's
come of
somewhere
that.
between a C and a C plus average wise. I was trying to do it in my head. It's somewhere between there.
So yeah, that's like the overall. Yeah, I'd say C plus is about where this team is at. The lineup is super talented, but the pitching is so bad, and the ownership has done absolutely nothing to bring in better pitching. That I'm sorry, you got nothing to look forward to this season. This season's going to be rough. Barring a Kyle Freeland return, and suddenly there are other pitchers, Wade Davis rediscovering everything, and their bullpen of nobodies suddenly turning out to be stars. Don't expect this team to be in the playoffs. I don't expect them to be in the wild card run. Highly expect a lot of trades coming from this team. So that is it from me, really. Anything else to add?
Um, not really. No, I think you about covered it for me.
So with that said and done, go check out our social media. Go like, comment, and subscribe. Leave a comment if you think I'm an idiot, or if you agree, or if you have a slightly different opinion and want to explain why. Join our Discord.
Yeah. Also, please don't dislike the video and then not comment because we want to know if it's just like a hey, you disagree with our opinion, which is perfectly fine, or if it's like a hey, this is where you can kind of make this better because that's just seeing a dislike is just like, oh, okay, what am I supposed to do with that? If you can leave constructive criticism, it would be appreciated. Because
Well,
we're trying to figure out what to do with the screen. I'm going to say it again. We've thrown some ideas around. It wasn't supposed to be a visual thing. Now it's becoming more of a visual thing. We're trying to figure out what to do with the screen. But I've taken over his outro, so I'll let him finish it up.
um, anyway, so yeah, go check out the social media. Go check out the Discord. Like, comment, subscribe. That's about it.
We
This
will
has been
be
Global Team.
back on Monday.
Yes, who are our next victims?
We go to Detroit Monday and
Ah,
Tuesday.
ah, 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 oh God. Oh, Detroit fans. Like, listen, Rockies and Orioles fans think they have it bad. Oh my God.
So Monday I go and do the
Can I give them an F
Lions.
rating right now?
Monday I go to the Lions. Tuesday you go to the Tigers. Wednesday's the Packers. Thursday's the Brewers. And then we finish out Friday with the Houston Texans. With all that being said, I think that'll be it for us for this week. Like you said, like, comment, subscribe, check out our Discord, all our social media, all that. And we'll see you next time. Peace.